Hello everyone. In this video we will see how sum function works. As the name indicates, the sum function is just used to add the numbers from different cells. Let's see a few examples here. I'm just adding the numbers from 3 different cells, or in other words I'm just adding the numbers from the entire range from F2 to F7. It is returning the value 785, which is the sum of all these numbers. We can also add individual cells in sum function, and I'm just using the sum function here to add individual cell F2, F3, F4. In the third example, I'm just adding the numbers from 2 different columns, which is basically F and G. The output will give the summation of whatever cells I am referring here. So it is returning the sum of all the mentioned cells here. This is how the sum function works. Sum function, we can also sum 2 different ranges. Let's see how that works. Sum of this range and sum of this range. So if you sum up these numbers, it will give the value as 565.92. If you look at this, this is the sum of this. This is how the sum function works. We also have another function related to sum, which is basically SUMIF and SUMIFS functions, which is also used to sum the numbers, but with some criteria. Let's say you want to have some criteria to add the numbers. We can use SUMIF or SUMIFS functions. Let's see this example. Here I have 3 different columns. One is category, second one is item, and third one is the count. So for each category we have relevant items and the relevant count. So the SUMIF function is used to sum the numbers by mentioning a particular criteria. SUMIF function will have 3 different parameters, which is range, criteria, sum range. Range is nothing but the range where you have that criteria available. So in this example, we have the category column, and that's the criteria we want to use. Criteria is basically the name of the category. So here in this example, I have given fruit. So that is the criteria. Third one is the sum range, which is nothing but the column from where you want to add the numbers. Let's use this example. SUMIF of range is basically category column. Criteria is nothing but fruit, because I want to add the numbers for fruit category. So I'm just typing fruit, and the third parameter is the sum range from where you want to add the numbers, this column. So I'm just selecting this column. So if you look at this result, it is returning 136. It is basically the sum of all the numbers which is related to fruit category. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 6 rows for fruits. So all these numbers will be summed up and will be written as an output, which is 136. That is what returned here, and this is how the SUMIF works. Let's see another example for SUMIF. So here I am just using this column to sum the numbers whichever is greater than 10. It is a simple example. I don't want to use different columns for criteria. I want to use the same column here to sum up the numbers whichever is greater than 10. So I am just using this formula of SUMIF. In this column, or in this range, I want to sum the numbers whichever is greater than 10. Sum range is the same column because I want to use the same column to sum the numbers. It is returning 219. So whichever rows we have greater than 10, all those numbers will be summed up here. So let's ignore the numbers whichever is greater than 10. We have to ignore all these cells. Only we have to ignore this one and this one. So we have to take these cells and these cells. This 219, and that's what returned as an output here. This is how the SUMIF function works. The third function is SUMIFS. Similar to SUMIF function, the SUMIFS function is also used to sum the numbers based on the criteria. But one additional advantage is that this SUMIFS function will have more than one criteria to be used or involved. In SUMIF function, we have just one criteria, but in SUMIFS function, we can have more than one criteria to be mentioned. For a better understanding, I just highlighted in different colors here. So in this first example, I am going to sum the numbers from this column for the category fruit from this column, and then from the fruits I want to sum the numbers only for cherry category from this column. So basically, if you look at this formula, this is the first criteria and this is the second criteria. So first criteria is from category column I have to pick only fruits. The second criteria is from the item column I have to pick only cherry, and those numbers should be summed up here. Let's see how this works. So I'm just selecting the sum range. The first parameter is sum range, which is basically from which column you want to sum the numbers. Second parameter is the criteria range 1. So basically here the first criteria, which is the category column. What is the criteria here? Which is fruit. So I'm just typing fruit here. Now the second criteria, which is basically this column, and from this column I have to choose only cherry. So I'm just selecting this column. Criteria 2 is cherry. So it is returning the value as 20. Let's see if this is correct. So from fruits column, we have to choose only cherry. So this row, and this row. So we have to sum up these numbers, which is 11 plus 7 plus 2, which is 20. So it is returning the value as 20. Let's see one more example. First criteria is the category vegetable. Second criteria is the item potato. Third criteria is again from this column I have to take only the count which is greater than 10. So within vegetable and within potato, whatever column is having greater than 10 count, only those numbers should be summed up here. Let's see how this works. SUMIF of the number column which we want to add the numbers. Now the first criteria here, vegetable. Second criteria, this range, only potato. Third criteria, from this column, whichever count is greater than 10. It is returning 0. Let's see is this correct or not. So from vegetable and potato, we have only one row available here, but this number is not greater than 10, which is equal to 10, and that is why it is returning the value as 0. Let's say if we have another column or another row with potato, but the number is, let's say, greater than 10. Now let's see how this works. Same function, SUMIF of S, sum range, this one, criteria range, this one, comma, vegetable, criteria range to this column, only potato, criteria range 3, this column, whichever count is greater than 10. Now it is returning 20 because we have two different rows for vegetable potato. Among these two rows, we have only one row which is greater than 10. So it is obviously returning the value as 20. So this is how the SUMIFS function works. I hope this is useful for you. If so, please comment and subscribe my channel so that you can view all the videos whichever I am uploading. Thanks for watching.